So, hey, amazing parents, welcome back. And as promised, I said I was going to share part 2 of the previous video that I started with, where we were talking about the language shifts that our teenagers actually respond to better. So I shared with you how to move from telling to asking. I also shared with you how to move from monitoring to mentoring. I shared with you on how to move from commanding to coaching. And for this video, I'm going to share, I think, the 3 other shifts I have to share. The next one, or the first one in this part 2, is from controlling to connecting. A lot of times when they were younger children, we made decisions for them out of fear. Out of that fear, oh, we don't want them to do this, we don't want them to do this, so we are going to do that. But in the teenage years, we have to start connecting with them, trusting them to make the choices, but also guiding them as well. We're not telling them just it's up to you, just make the choice. No, we're guiding them as well. But they need to see that we are beginning to trust them. And that's where the connection comes into place. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, there's some friends that they want to hang out with. And in a controlling way, you're saying, you're not hanging out with those friends. I don't like them. That's the way that you're talking to them. In the teenage brain, they're not even hearing you. They can't understand what you don't like about their friends, because you haven't actually approached it in a more constructive way or in a more reflective way that they can then think about it. You just come at them. You are not hanging out with those guys anymore. I don't like them. Final. That's because I said so. That's it. If the teenager doesn't have explanation behind it, doesn't have reasoning, that there's no space to reason about what you're saying behind it, then they are not going to listen. And you might think that they've listened to you, but behind your back, they're going to do something else. So it's so important that, and this is why we're talking about, for us to tap into them using their adult brain, we've got to reason with them. So yes, okay, I'm not faulting. I'm not blaming you for not liking the friends. Yeah, there's some friends that are wrong for our children, but it's the way we approach it. Because the teenage years, again, if the teenage brain is in that stage where their sense of belonging is so important to them, friendships are so important to them. So for us to really want to steer them away from certain friends who we know are not good for them, we have to approach it in a very constructive way. Because if we don't say it in a constructive way, they're not going to hear us out. That's typical of teenagers. They're not going to hear us out because we haven't said it in a constructive way. So instead of controlling them and saying, oh, you're not hanging out with those guys, I don't like them, you can't do this, you can't do that. What? Tell me, let's talk in a very calm moment, not when you're upset. No, in a very calm moment. What's going on? What do you love about these friends? What is it about these friends? Please tell me more about your friends. What do you love about them? How do they treat you? How do you feel when you're with them? Just share with them. Let them talk. Let them tell you. And because you are you've created this safe space for them, they may share the real deal. They may just share, well, you know what? I'm just hanging out with them because my other friends are hanging out with them. Or I'm just hanging out with them because if I don't hang with them, then there's nobody else to hang with. That's where you would hear the real gists. But if you shout at them and say you can never talk to these people about it, you would not hear those other bits. I remember a parent called me recently and said that her daughter wanted to have to have a sleepover with her friends. And so mom said, no, you're not going to have a sleepover with your friends. It's too early. Maybe when you get to know them a bit longer, then you can have those sleepovers. And so when she shared that with me, I said, kudos, that's good. The fact that you explained, right? You just didn't say, no, you can't have a sleepover. No, you explained to her and you gave her a timeline. You see, a lot of times with teenagers, when you tell them no, they can't do something, in the teenage head, they think that is forever. So when they react, when they're upset, when they're frustrated about the no that you've said, they're extra upset because in their heads, they're thinking it's a forever thing. But if you take the time to explain to them that, okay, this is the reason I don't want you to hang out with those guys for now, get to know them more. And then maybe, let's say, in January, when school starts again, you can then hang out with them. You've given them a timeline, or you've given them stuff about, like when my son, when they were teenagers and they said, oh, mom, I'm going to get a tattoo. I want to get a tattoo. I said, okay, no problem. Just wait till you're 18. When you're 18, then you can get the tattoo that you want. I've given them a timeline. And when he became 18, 19, he lost interest in it. So it's not that, oh, you insist, oh, you must not do this, you must not do it. You've got to reason with them so that they as well can have that habit of reasoning. I think this is a key factor that we need to start speaking differently to our teenagers, because that's what's going to open the door for our teenagers to reflect and start to think for themselves. Critical thinking. Because if we're just on them, where we're demanding, we're commanding, we're making all the decisions for them, they have no time to think. They have no time to reflect. They have no time to contemplate and consider choices that they have before they make a choice, because they're so used to us doing things for them, especially moms. Sorry, especially moms. Okay, so that's it. So just connect with them. So that's as I was saying, the parent that told me about that. So I told her that that's the better way to do it, because then the daughter knows that it's not a permanent thing, and the daughter can understand. Or there was another thing she told me that the daughter said. The daughter said, okay, can you think about it? And mom said, no, I'm not thinking about it. I've just said no. So I told the mom, later on, go back to her and say, I'm going to think about it. It's so important for your teenagers to know that you are going to think about something they've said. That's, to them, that means what they're saying is important. Even if you don't agree to it, the fact that you've considered it is a big plus. So please, if you're going to make a decision about something, about your teenagers asks you something, you're going to make a decision. Sometimes you know the answer is no. Just tell them, you know what, let me think about it. So that they know that, yes, they are important. The question to you is very important, and you are going to take your time to think about it and then come back to them. Your answer may still be no, that's fine. But at least the teenager knows that the teenager's voice was heard. The teenager knows that you considered that question that the teenager asked you. Don't just say, no, you're not going to do it. I said so. Just, nah, don't go down to that level. Yeah, I said it. Don't go down. I said down level. Don't go down today. Speak like the adult that you are. Speak like the parental leader that you are. And say, you know what? I heard you. I'll just give me some time. I'll think about it and I'll get back to you at so time. Speak like the parental leader you are, and you will see your teenager appreciates that no more than anything, because they know that you've considered it. You didn't just react to them and just shout no. You considered it, you thought about it, you valued what they came to share to you, and now you've given them you said no, but you've also added a reason to why you said no. Do you understand? This parenting journey and that we're talking about here, it's not about you being the yes parent. Oh, yes, you can do this, you can do that. No. It's even the times when you say no, you still say it respectfully. You still say it with intelligence. You still say it with, parenting is a great journey if we can do it right. I rest my case. So that's the controlling to connecting. Okay. The next one is moving from reacting to responding. And I think I've talked about reacting and responding in a few of these examples. In reacting, you're reacting in your fear, you're reacting in your emotions, you're reacting in your frustration. Because I tell you something, no parenting journey is perfect. You're going to have times where you're frustrated. You're going to have times where you are angry about a mistake they made, a decision they made, or a choice they made, or something they said. These things are going to happen. It comes with the parenting journey. If you're going to have such a perfect parenting journey, then you're really not parenting right. Because no parenting is perfect. So, but the key is, even if those situations happen, how are you responding? So we want to move from reacting to responding. So, for example, a teenager says something or they did something. You react. I can't believe you did that. What were you thinking? Because you're upset. What were you thinking? The way to handle this is that if you see that you're upset, if you see that you're angry, being angry is not a crime. It's not a crime. Acknowledge your anger, acknowledge the emotions you're feeling, acknowledge the frustrations you're getting, and then give yourself a pause. Pause. Okay. I'm not going to speak right now. Right now, I am very, very angry. Nope, it's not going to be now. Because what I want to say, I don't want any other thing to get in the way. So I'm not going to talk now. You know what? And I think I gave it in the previous example. Let's talk about this later. Or you say, you know what? Help me understand what happened there. Just help me understand, because I'm trying to understand the tone that you came at me, or I'm trying to understand the behavior that you're talking about. Help me understand. What led to that decision? What led to that action? What led to that choice? Help me to understand that. Remember, you're asking the what and how questions. You're not asking why. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? A lot of teenagers are going to tell you, I don't know. And they really don't know. But when you say what led to it, what happened around the situation, what happened in school, what happened, what were the things that was going on in your mind, it's easier for them to separate the thoughts that led to the action or led to the choice. So learn to respond more than you react. If you find yourself in nearly that reactive mode, pause. In that pausing, you're also modeling to your child how to pause. In that pausing, you're modeling to yourself as well. That's self-control. And self-control is the biggest control that we have in parenting. So that's that one. And then the final one is from fixing to empowering. In fixing, we want to jump in and solve all their problems. They left their PE kit in school. You want to run quickly to school to give them their PE kit. No. Leave the PE kit at home. They get the consequence at school. The next day, they'll remember to take the PE kits. Stop doing everything for them. There's some things that, of course, you will do for them. You know what I mean. you understand where I'm coming from. But you move from fixing to empowering. So instead of you saying, okay, maybe they did something in school, let me call your teacher to fix it and to sort it out. I need to sort it out with your teacher. You can actually come and say, okay, what steps are you going to take if you find yourself in that situation next time? What steps are you going to take? I can support you if you need help. So you're leaving it in their court so that they know, okay, they're being accountable for that behavior. They're being accountable for the thing they forgot or the thing that they needed to do in school. You're not fixing it for them. And that's empowering when you are asking them, what are they going to do in those situations? So these are the things that we need to share. And then the final one, I thought it was the final one. The final one is moving from fear-driven parenting to actually faith-driven parenting. And what I mean here is sometimes parents think that their children or their teenagers are not ready for stuff. The teenagers want to do something. Oh, you're not ready for that yet. No, have faith. Have faith. Speak in a more faith-driven way, saying, you know what? Okay, let's prepare this together so you can feel more ready. You can even feel more prepared. So you in your mind, you know that they're not ready for it yet, but you're not telling them that. You're just telling them, okay, let's do some things together. Let's look at some scenarios together. Let's do some role plays together. Let's practice this together so that you can even be more prepared. Because teenagers might think they're prepared. We might be saying, no, you're not prepared, but you need more preparation. Guide them in that way rather than dealing with that fear thing. Oh, you're not prepared. You're not this, you're not that. Every time that we tell them what they're not, they take it on that they're not it and they're not it for a long time. So we want to really empower them to know that they can do it, but we just need to work some more towards what they can do. So I trust that this helps. These are the shifts that we need to make, and I call them the language shifts that we need to make as we move from parenting our younger children to parenting our teenagers. I trust that this has helped. Let me know which of these shifts that you are going to be practicing some more. Is it going to be one of them, two of them, four of them? Let me know, and I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you next week on next week's video. Before that, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And you see all those your friends that are also parenting teenagers that you guys are always talking about. Oh, are you going through what I'm going through? Are you doing this? You share all those lovely things and the struggles you have with your teenagers. Please be sure to share this video to those friends. And I look forward to seeing all of you again next week. Until then, remember that I'm rooting for you all the way. I am with you on this journey as well. So you take care. God bless. Bye-bye.